Hey there, Crystal Thompson here for Simon Says Stamp. Today I wanted to create a card with the newest releases from Simon. And with this, we're going to be a super fast ink blended abstract shape card. We're doing ink blending over Kraft. We're doing some heat embossing with a really cool background stamp and then finishing the whole thing with some splatters. For this, we're using the brand new release halftone circle background, which is a beautiful rubber stamp. And I'm actually leaving it in its container, in its plastic thing, to stamp it. Next, we're using the Friendly Flowers stamp set, which is from the April card kit, using two colors of Distress Oxide, Seedless Preserves, and Wilted Violet. Absolutely stunning. And then two pieces of cardstock. We have a Kraft and a white, and that Kraft has been cut about a quarter of an inch smaller than that white card panel. So to begin, we're going to set everything aside and we're going to grab the Kraft cardstock and I'm going to stamp the Thank You Very Much, which is from the Friendly Flowers stamp set that was included in the April card kit, and you can still get the stamp set. I'm going to link all the products used for this card below so you can see how easy and how simple it is to make it. I'm stamping it with my favorite embossing and watermark ink, and as you saw, I let it sit for just a couple seconds to really let the cardstock absorb that ink, and then coming in with my Simon Says Stamp white fine detail embossing powder, and you can see we have a perfect thank you so very much. So I'm not going to heat emboss right away. I'm going to bring in the halftone circle background, and like I mentioned, I'm going to leave it in its wrapper, in its container, instead of using a Misty, and it worked out really well. It didn't move. I'm going to use my watermark embossing ink again. I'm going to place my circle, and then using my sleeve, I'm going to give it just a nice little rub to press down, make sure that it doesn't shift. And this is, again, super easy way to create the card. And then I'm going to add all that embossing powder over the little circles and just continue on all the way through. We're going to flip this around. I like to do this in sections just because it makes it a lot easier to heat emboss and make sure that all the circles are covered with heat embossing powder. I'm going to bring in my heat gun and I'm just going to move on to areas. As you can see, the minute it gets a little bit darker, I remove the heat off of it. If you add too much heat to white embossing especially, it turns clear. So I don't want it to get lost in the heating. And then I shut it off and I come close and look at it and make sure that I got all the areas. Now we're going to move on to the ink blending part of it. I have a protective piece of paper, just as regular printer paper, to protect my area, and I'm going to come in with that Wilted Violet and I'm going to do a quick blend of it, and I'm going to go all the way down and stopping right at the edge of the circle, being sure that I don't cover any of the thank you very much. And because we did do some heat embossing, you will find that it's going to resist that color, and then we're going to come back and wipe it down. We're going to come in with Seedless Preserves, which is a little bit more of a pinkish, purplish tone, and I'm just going to fill in those blank spots where I miss with the other. And so you get a two-tone ink blending on Kraft, and then, again, super pretty way to add some more color, and the Kraft just really brings that color on the top. And then I'm going to use a dry baby wipe. I forgot to close them, but actually they worked out really well, and they don't have lint, so I can remove all that color from the top of the embossing powder, and we're ready to roll. Next, I have a sheet of foam adhesive. So this foam adhesive is a sheet, and you can buy it with two-sided adhesive or the one-sided. The one-sided is a lot cheaper, so that's the one I use. And I'm going to add adhesive to the back of the card and then place the non-adhesive part to the glued part that I just added. I'm going to remove that backing and making sure that I get it all off. And it's a very easy way to give your cards dimension and really lift them up from your card base or card panel. I like to create card panels because my storage is pretty minimal, and then when I need a card, I just glue it onto a card base, and I know it's going to be nice and crisp. So I'm going to press down the blended cardstock that we have ready to go. I have some zig glittery. This is like a pearly and it has 6 golden colors. And I'm going to use the white gold, and I added just a little bit of water, and I create a nice medium for this, in which I'm going to splatter all the way through. And if you want big splatters, add more water. And if you want smaller splatters, don't add so much water. So it all depends on what size and shape of splatters you want. I did it a couple times. We're going to set that aside to dry, and we're going to come in and do some stamping with a smaller stamp. Okay, so on this piece of black cardstock, I'm going to stamp the My Friend. This is from the SLIMLINE Florals, also a brand new release for Simon. And I'm going to do the same thing that we did earlier. So we're going to come in with our Simon Says Stamp watermark embossing ink, and then cover it with the fine white detail powder. And I got to tell you that truly this is my favorite embossing powder, not only because it's Simon, but it really does capture all the details. I cut the little strip and I added 2 layers of foam adhesive because I wanted to really lift up. And then I'm going to add the My Friend right over. It says, My Friend, thank you so very much. And I actually already have the friend I'm going to send this to. I have a girlfriend in St. George, and she hosted us, all 6 of us. So I'm going to send this over to her with a nice little gift card. Then I have some Studio Cadia, and these are little bubbles. They look like water droplets, and I'm going to use my Mono Tombow adhesive glue. I'm going to add a couple drops and then grab my Studio Cadia jewel picker. There's so many different brands of this thing. Studio Cadia makes one, Crystal Katana makes one, Marvy makes one. So really it all depends what color of this you want, and it truly is just a wax tip. If you don't have this, go grab a white crayon or white Crayola to grab your jewels, and it's going to do the same thing. It's just a slightly tacky. And guys, that does it for me. Thank you so much for joining me today on this quick tutorial using a background stamp, add a non-background on Kraft cardstock with ink blending. The whole thing comes together really nicely with a very simple and clean look, in my opinion. And I'm going to put this onto a card base, mail it over to my girlfriend for saying thank you for feeding all 6 of us. And again, all products are listed on the video description. I appreciate you being here. If you are new, I thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like this video, comment, share it, and please subscribe for new videos using the Simon Says Stamp releases. Thank you so much. Have a great day.